Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Spooktober episode of We Watch Shudder. My name's JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle with a dash of big book nerd Bertha.
Michelle with big
With a
book
dash.
nerd Bertha. Holy
little
shit,
bit.
it's been a minute.
I know.
Been a minute since
We
big
haven't
book
watched
nerd
a lot of book movie combos, or
No.
at least ones that I wanted to read the book for.
Well, as long as we're right into it, Michelle, why don't we tell everybody, they know, they've seen the episode title, what is the book movie we're talking about today in Spooktober?
The Halloween Tree, originally a book from the 70s written by Ray Bradbury, the guy who did Fahrenheit 451, and then it was turned into a movie in 1993.
Also written by Ray Bradbury.
Yes, and he does some of the voice in this as well, but Leonard Nimoy is the big scary guy.
The narrator is Ray Bradbury. Yep.
Yes, he is.
Not just Fahrenheit 451, by the way. Ray Bradbury wrote a lot of stuff.
I read Fahrenheit 451 when I was too young.
Oh, it's surely his most famous thing.
Yeah.
Right?
The whole like robot dog that's going to inject you with a needle if they catch you reading. I was a huge nerd growing up, and that dog, I had nightmares about that dog where it caught me up late reading when I should be sleeping. I think the first time I read Fahrenheit 451, I was in like 7th grade or something, and it scared the shit out of me. Like a dog that doesn't want you reading, terrifying.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. Have you ever seen the 1966 Francois Truffaut film Fahrenheit 451?
I have not.
Holy shit, you should definitely see it. I've heard it's a good
adaptation.
It's really, really good. Oscar Werner, Julie Christie. Oh my God, Julie Christie and I have an interesting, well, she doesn't know it, but we have an interesting relationship. Anyway, it's a fantastic adaptation. Book. I think big book nerd Bertha would love the 1966 Francois Truffaut adaptation of Fahrenheit 451.
I have physically typed it into my to-do list for the weekend. So I will to-do it tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about a different one, though. A different Ray Bradbury. The Halloween Tree from 1993. Michelle, had you seen this before?
Yes, I had.
Was this a big part of your Halloween childhood?
I have many thoughts on it. Yes, it was.
Okay. Like, would you say it was as big a part of your childhood Halloween experience as Hocus Pocus?
More so.
Or Halloween Town?
More so. And we'll get into why. I haven't seen it as many as those, but it had a bigger impact for various reasons.
I had never seen it. In fact, I had never even heard of it until it showed up on our list, and so that's
I put it on the list. I said, if we're doing Halloween theme, I demand the Halloween Tree.
All right. Well, in that case, why don't you hit folks with the Descrippy script so we can get started with talking about the Halloween Tree.
4 children learn the origins of Halloween customs while trying to save the life of their friend. The Halloween Tree TV movie, 1993, not rated 1 hour, 9 minutes. Nice and short. JD.
Yes.
This was your first time seeing the movie. Why don't you hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts?
Yeah, sure. First of all, it was super cool to see something with a little bit more classic animation style that we don't really see anymore. I'm pretty sure this is cell animation all the way through, maybe a 3D background here or there. But I really enjoyed just that as sort of a nostalgia thing. 69 minutes was super cool.
69.
There are, I mean, that's what it is, 69 minutes. Nice.
Hilarious.
This is, like, I don't want to give away too much, but there are things in the plot of this movie that are real weird to me. I'm not entirely certain how historically accurate this film is.
Not very.
Considering how much it purports to be. I don't know. This one was... I wasn't so much bothered by it or put off by it. It was weird in a weird way. I don't know that I would ever watch it again. There are parts of it where I'm just like, this is in a kid's movie in a similar way to like Hocus Pocus, but I didn't have a real strong reaction to it in any direction. I would say, I don't know, two skulls for the Halloween tree. I'm real curious, frankly, to hear how this had so much of an impact on you. First, why don't you tell us your spoiler free thoughts if you can be spoiler free?
Yeah, I will do my spoiler free thoughts as a person who is now 35 and watching this movie after like 25 years since the last time I saw it, probably. Have not seen it since I was a kid. It's fine as an adult. There are some things that are very weird, like you said, that will become very apparent as to why they're weird when you watch this as a kid in the spoiler section. And why this had a huge impact on me. But I think it would be hard to talk about any of that in the spoiler free area. What I will say is it's, well, yeah, I'm getting to it. I was going to give a little bit of a review.
I'm sorry. I know you're a professional.
Wow, I am a professional. Goddamn professional. Like you said, I like an animation of a Halloween movie. There's not a lot out there. And one that is much darker than like the fun, like Peppa Pig has a Halloween party kind of stuff that's out there. I feel like a lot of the stuff I watched back in the 90s that was Halloween related was like very spooky like this. And I kind of miss when stuff was both for children and not appropriate for children. So this thing, I enjoyed it. I don't have as strong of a feeling, but I did still feel pretty uneasy watching it as an adult. We're going to go with a 3 out of 5 for me.
3 out of 5 for Michelle. What did I give it? 2 out of 5? That's a 2.5. Right down the middle.
2.5.
I gotta be honest, from here, I don't even really know how much I'm gonna have to say about it. But frankly, I am real. I feel like you've got a rant in you, Michelle. Is my radar on that pretty solid?
I have a lot to say. I don't know if it's a rant, but I have a lot to say about this movie.
All right. Well, if you never saw the Halloween tree from 1993 and you'd like to see it before we spoil the heck out of it, go do that and then come back and listen. Michelle, is this one where you feel like you could do just the plot recap, or do you just want to go through this and talk about the plot and your thoughts on it all at once?
We'll see what comes out. I don't know.
Right.
I'll try to do a plot. We'll see how much it becomes other stuff.
I am just going to sit here and listen, and you go fucking nuts.
Okay. So this movie, there's 4 friends on Halloween, and they are all getting excited and getting dressed up in various costumes. Ralph is a mummy. Jenny's a witch. Wally is considered a monster, but he's essentially the Hunchback of Notre Dame, kind of. We'll get into that. And then Tom is a skeleton. Oh, was that... You just had to make sure I heard you chewing for a little bit? Okay, cool. If you heard that little chomp chomp, that's JD just eating and making his presence known. So this group of friends, they have a 5th friend, which, first off, watching this as... Oh, yes. Hi, JD.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but then you called me out.
Well, you held up your hand.
I held it up now because I wasn't going to say anything. But then you called me out. I was just trying to make sure that it wasn't actually recording the chomp chomp sounds.
But I heard it.
On my Audacity. I don't care if you heard it, Michelle. It wasn't recording it into my Audacity. But then you told everybody I was making a chomp chomp sounds. Anyway, please continue talking about the film. I'm going to go back to my chomp chomp sounds.
Okay. You go to your chomp chomp sounds. Okay. So there are 4 children in this movie, and they're getting ready for Halloween, and they have a 5th friend, which, first off, watching this as a small, weird, nerdy child, how the fuck did they have a friend group of 5 people? Who does that? That's already unbelievable to me. What do you mean you have 4 other people who can handle your presence? That was not true for me. If anybody's ever curious, I do have some pictures from me at Halloween, and I was a very weird little girl with not many friends. So thank you to the few of you who stood by me. But they do have a 5th friend named Pip, and they're like, "Where's Pip? We don't have cell phones yet. We should go find Pip." So they have to physically walk to his house, and that sucks. Man, the 90s were rough. So they go there, and then they see an ambulance taking Pip away. And then it turns out that Pip wrote them a note to say, "I have appendicitis. I'm going to the hospital, and go trick-or-treating without me," which I've never had appendicitis, but I don't imagine that if you're in the level of pain that appendicitis would require you to have an ambulance bring you to the hospital, that you would be like, I should write a note to my friends. I just don't think that's a thing. But, you know, Pip is apparently like the coolest boy ever, and he really cares about his friendships. And this just really takes into account how thoughtful Pip is. It's really emphasized in the book that Pip is the coolest boy alive and has so many friends. There are actually 8 boys in the book. There's way more boys and no girls because it was the 70s and girls sucked. No Jenny. The movie is better. So the kids are like, well, we can't go trick-or-treating without Pip, so we have to walk through the woods to get to the hospital. But on their way through the woods, they see Pip and they go, wow, Pip, he looks a little goofy, but he's clearly fine. And then they chase after Pip and they wind up at a dark mansion where a man named Carapace Clerical Mountshroud is at. And they see Pip and he steals a pumpkin that looks kind of like him from a tree. And then Mountshroud explains to them that that is the Halloween tree and he needs to get that pumpkin back so he can have Pip's soul, essentially. And the kids are like, no, please don't take our friend, Mr. Death. Can we come with you to try to track him down? And he makes a deal with them that if they can get Pip back before, keep up with him until dawn or something, like, sure, they can save Pip. So then Carapace Clavicle Mountshroud is making fun of the kids because they don't know where their costumes come from. So he's like, oh, you don't even know why you dress like a witch. Meh, meh, meh. Well, actually. And so he decides to take them on a time-traveling adventure, going through the eras and finding their friend Pip, while also learning about the origins of Halloween. So each kid basically has like a showcase moment. They start in Egypt, where Ralph, dressed as a mummy, they learn what mummies were all about and how they were preserving the corpses in the afterlife. And then they have to save Pip, who is a mummy and is fading out because he's dying. And he's telling his friend he's dying, and Ralph has to save his dying friend, which he does. And then Pip is like, ho, off I go. And like he runs off to the Dark Ages and Stonehenge, where Jenny, a witch, has to go and try to save Pip. And somehow Jenny has it the easiest. She does not deal with the really dark shit that her friends do. So she chases after Pip, and I forget how she saves him because it's not traumatic. And then now they're in France, in Notre Dame, and Wally, dressed as a monster, they see Pip, and he has been turned into a gargoyle who can only talk when water is spewing from his mouth, and he seems to be in a miserable existence. And Wally has to get up to Pip and tell him to like keep living or some shit. I don't know. He keeps him alive with the love of friendship and hope and all that bullshit or something. And so Pip's not a gargoyle anymore. Yay. And then it's Tom's turn, and they're in Mexico, and they're learning about Dia de los Muertos and how Tom is a skeleton and how death is celebrated there. And then there they find Pip in the catacombs, fading from existence, and Tom tells him that all of this is his fault because he wanted Pip to die so that he could be the leader for once. And Pip, being the coolest kid in the goddamn world, is like, no, Tom, it's fine. I would have made you the leader. Blah, 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 blah. Fucking friendship. I didn't have any. I don't know how it works. And then Pip reaches out his hand to Tom and then crumbles to dust. And the kids are like, Mr. Mountshroud, we refuse to pronounce your entire name because that's a bullshit name. Mr. Mountshroud, your last name's also stupid, but we'll call you that. Why did you take him from us? We had a deal. And Mountshroud's like, I'm evil, or whatever the fuck. And then Tom's like, how about this? How about I give you a year of my life in exchange for Pip's life, and you don't take our friend away, and you can have a year off my life. And Mountshroud's like, well, you say that now, but how will you feel in the future when you're 60 or 70 and I come for my year? And Tom's like, I don't care. I just want my friend to be okay. And then Mountshroud's considering it, and each of the other 3 kids are like, yeah, you can have a year of my life. And then Mountshroud agrees. The kids go back. Pip did not die from appendicitis. And then you see the house where all the pumpkins blow away, except for the one who looks like Pip with his freckles. And that's apparently kind of a happy ending. But that dude just stole 4 years off of children's lives. And I got thoughts, but that's the Halloween tree summed up.
Oh, don't stop there. Go ahead with your thoughts, Michelle, because I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Okay.
I know we say it a lot, but I genuinely don't have a lot of thoughts about this.
Okay.
This one's yours. Have at it.
Back when I was a tiny, tiny child, this came out in 1993, so I was probably 4 or 5 when I saw this, maybe very young. Both my Uncle Jeff and my mom were managers at a video rental place. And the Halloween tree I saw for the first time when one of them put it on as one of the TVs that I could watch, just like hanging out during their shifts. Spent a lot of time at the video rental place. And also, that was the first place I saw Face Off. Face Off, I distinctly remember where I was because I was like, what the hell is this? And I think that started my love of Nick Cage. Yes, JD.
I just wanted to mention that is another thing that you and I share in common in our background. Is I also spent a lot of time having to hang out with mom and or dad at work because there was no other option available because money is an unfortunate truth of the world. I, on a couple of occasions, because while I was growing up, my dad was an older than average student going back to college. And there were even several occasions where I had to go to school with my dad and just sit quietly in the classroom while he was in classes. Anyway, he just hit me with a bit of nostalgia there. I was like, oh, you were had to go to mommy's work and be quiet kid too?
Yeah. On the plus side, I grew up to love movies, and part of it is spending a lot of time at the video rental store. So, like, that was the coolest thing. I
was going to say,
after they got done with all the movie posters, I got the option to take them home. So my room was covered in movie posters.
Yeah,
and I was the Chipmunks one, great one.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was going to work with mom, but it was also going to work with Uncle Jeff, and that definitely, I'm sure, had its upsides.
Also, we'll get into it someday, but that place was haunted. That's one of the few places where I'm like, that was a very scary place.
Was it one of the Fargo stores?
No, the small town I grew up in, Pelican Rapids.
Oh, okay. I was curious if it was one here that I had been to, but
no, it was a very creepy, like, stuff moved when I was there by myself. I did not like it. I always felt very unsettled. Okay, anyway. So
first time I watched Halloween tree. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes. No, that's okay.
Thank you for the nostalgia trip.
So the Halloween tree, first time I saw it was sitting there just watching it during my mom's shift or Jeff's shift or whoever. It upset me greatly because at that young age, I think this is the first time I ever saw a movie where bad things could happen to kids and kids could die. That was a very rare, if not brand new experience to me. And then all the ways that they are watching their friend fade out of existence was very upsetting. That gargoyle part gave me nightmares. This is a terrible choice for a kids movie. And the book is a little bit more educational because there are 8 kids, so they go to like even more places. And I think like the overall purpose of the book is more so like celebrating Halloween and how Halloween isn't something we should be afraid of. Here's all the origins of these things that we consider spooky now. And it's very educational. And I liked this movie because I was a nerd and I liked learning things, even though it's not accurate. I know that now. I have the internet. But at the time I was like, oh, that's cool, learning about like Dia de los Muertos. I knew nothing about that. But this was the first movie where I, as a child, realized I was not safe and that if I got taken away in an ambulance, I could maybe be transported out of my physical form to this terrifying wooded mansion, piss off an angry guy voiced by Leonard Nimoy, and then travel through time while my friends tried to save me, and that I might not be able to be saved, and that I would have to have enough friends who are willing to trade a year of their life in order to keep me safe, and that was very unlikely. This was a terrifying fucking movie to watch as a very, very young child. And those are my, like, I haven't seen this since I was very young. I own it on DVD and I refuse to watch it. And even watching it today, I was like, oh man, it's still very unsettling. And the fact that this happens to kids. I grew up watching slashers. I watched a lot of horror movies at way too young of an age. I know in that same video store, Jeff would often play whatever the newest horror movie was, and that was totally fine. But none of that happened to kids. And this was the first time that I realized kids were not safe in movies, and it stuck with me. It's
Kind of
very,
fucked
very
you
scary.
up, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, this movie, like, out of everything I watched growing up, this was the scariest, hands down. This movie terrified me. Whereas things like Child's Play and Halloween and whatever else was fine, because that
That's
happened
wild.
to adults. And it happened to adults who had sex. The virgins were fine.
What are you trying to say, Michelle?
That when I saw this in 1993, I was definitely safe in those movies. It happened to teenagers who went out and drank with their friends and smoked. And I was never going to do that because I took a pledge at DARE to not do drugs or commit crimes. I was very faithful to the DARE lion. Whose name I forgot, but I was very faithful to him. I took a pledge. I signed a piece of paper. I still have my Pizza Hut coupon that I got for signing my DARE pledge. I apparently never turned it in, and it is for a $1 personal sized pizza because I committed to never doing drugs.
I wonder if you could still cash that in at a Pizza
I
Hut
have
location.
wondered because it does not have an expiration date, but at the same time, I want to see how long I can keep it and then try that.
Maybe.
Because it has been 30-ish years. And like,
That's amazing.
when I hear Pizza Hut is going out of business and I will never have another opportunity, that's when I will bring it in and be like, hey.
And they'll be like, yeah,
Will
of course we'll give it to
exactly.
you. This is a crazy story. Let's call the news media.
Oh, that'll be
Get
my
a-
big break of just like
Yeah.
turning in a Pizza Hut coupon and being like, sorry guys, I lied to the DARE lion.
One of those delightful human interest stories.
Yeah. And, no,
you
the
you just mean like turn it in as in give it back? I mean like go get a
No,
pizza.
I mean I want the pizza. Yeah, I want the
okay.
pizza.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Because
No,
you were
not
like
just, they can't have it.
apologizing for lying to the lion. I was like, oh, man, are you saying you're not worthy of the free pizza anymore?
Oh, no, I'm just saying like, sorry, lion. That did not work out in the way that we expected it to, but thank you for the pizza.
That's fantastic.
I stayed out of trouble quite a bit compared to my friends. I was an annoyingly good girl. I was the person who everybody's parents
was I,
liked.
for a
And
long
that's
time.
why when I watched the Halloween tree, it was impossible to believe that there would be 4 people willing to give a year of their life to save me.
Here's
This
my
was
question.
terrifying. Yes.
So how old is Pip? 11 years old?
Somewhere around there, probably.
So he's given back Pip's whole life.
Mhm.
You know, Pip's
Yes, I thought
presumably
about this
getting
too.
like 70, maybe like somewhere between, we would hope, like 50 and 90 years out of this deal. And he's taken 1 year from 4 people.
I have
He
a
doesn't
response
seem
to
like
that.
he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would accept such an unbalanced deal.
Because I was a young child who had already seen some very fucked up horror movies that happened to adults and never to children, I was convinced as a child that meant that Pip would die within 4 years. Like that I 100% said
He only
that
got
this is
4
a deal
years
to
back.
only give him 4 years and then he would die as a teenager. I knew this to be fact as a child. So even if I was taken away in an ambulance, which I'd never been in an ambulance either. I had been hospitalized once when I was like 4 years old or something for pneumonia. And I had a great time because I got to just like hang out and people like doted on me. And I felt love and affection for one of the rare times that I had in my life at that age. So being hospitalized was great. I had never been rushed. I didn't even really understand what appendicitis was. I just knew it was something bad that if you got in an ambulance, holy shit, you're probably going to die. Ambulance meant death. I did not know. And then this movie confirmed it. So then it started a lot of like medical anxiety that I still have to this day as well, where ambulance equals death. When I was in an ambulance after my car accident, I was convinced I had died because I also could not remember anything about who I was or where I was. I did tell the paramedic who was putting my IV in that he was very hot and that I did not appreciate him hurting me in the way that he was, and that I could just ask for my number because I was very charming when I was 19. But yeah, it's very upsetting. And I was convinced like this is just a trick and they would revisit this in 4 years when Pip died again and that this guy would just keep taking a year off of each of their lives.
Well, that's grim.
I know, this movie fucked me up. And the weirdest part is I grew up with horror movies. Legit horror movies, legit terrifying, upsetting horror movies. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was probably one of my favorite films by the time I saw this movie.
That's wild.
But Halloween Tree fucked me up because it never happened to kids.
I mean, I get it. It's
even Child's Play, where Chucky is a doll, the bad shit happens to the adults.
Right.
I would even be safe from Chucky because I was a kid. What I was not safe from was an animated Leonard Nimoy. That's what was gonna take me out. This old ass the Carapace Clarence
Carapace clavicle mound shroud. Yeah. I have to disagree with you entirely, Michelle. That name is fucking rad.
His first name is what you call the outer part of a hermit crab.
Is the upper part of it's type of parts of a shell. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Clavicle mound shroud. Also,
no, because here's the thing. As somebody named Shell, I have a constant rivalry with the Carapace.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, moving on. Carapace
get it? Because my name's Michelle. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's because I am also a shell.
Yeah.
I'm a shell of a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Because my name...
So anyway.
Okay. Gotcha. I wanted to make sure you understood.
God damn it, Michelle. Stop it.
Okay.
I'm trying to ask you a question.
Oh, okay. Fine. I guess.
You've read the book also, yes?
Yes.
Is Carapace clavicle mound shroud, the character in the film, accurate to that character? Like, is that character in the book? Is that the character's name? And is that an accurate portrayal of that character?
I believe the name is still the same. It has been a bit. But the character in the book is not nearly as menacing. The book could be argued as like a young reader's book. Like this is like a pretty standard, like kind of scary. I mean, at that point I had read a lot of Goosebumps and that was scarier than the Halloween Tree book. Like Goosebumps was very freaky, but so like that book was fine. It was not damaging in the way that the movie was. He is way more menacing of a character in the movie.
Okay, so also then in the book, there isn't one of the kids who's dying?
No, Pip is still in the book. But I'm saying that this guy is way more like lighthearted about like showing them the origins of Halloween and how Halloween should be celebrated. This movie does not give the impression of Halloween as something to be celebrated. It teaches you the origins and then punches you in the fucking dick.
Okay. So at least in the film then.
Yeah.
Is Carapace clavicle mound shroud a vampire?
No. He's like a death guy. like the Grim Reaper.
I just he had he had so many hallmarks of like he flies and he got that weird cape
And he
and
time
like
travels.
right. Well, but look, I thought maybe he was supposed to be some kind of a vampire. Is all I'm saying.
You know
It
what?
doesn't.
For all I know, he could be, and I'm so damaged by the remembrance of this entity that gave me fucking nightmares, a lot of fucking nightmares. This was, you know what? Okay, there were two things from my childhood that gave me recurring, very damaging nightmares. I also had one reoccurring dream, which I always loved, which was that I lived with the Pound Puppies because the Pound Puppies had an animated TV show and I had it on VHS and I just lived with them and they talked and we had a great time. That was like my imaginary happy place at the same age as this. So keep in mind, this was the age when I was having dreams about living with the Pound Puppies and that they all talked to me and we were all friends. I had that dream, and then I had reoccurring nightmares about the Halloween tree and the Michael Jackson Thriller music video. That music video fucked me up. I had a recurring nightmare that Michael Jackson from the Thriller music video was chasing me through my grandma's house. I had this nightmare every night for like a full year. And every time I had the nightmare, he got a little bit closer. And I did not know that it was Michael Jackson from the Thriller music video until the very last time I ever had that nightmare. And that's when he grabbed my shoulder. He finally caught up to me. I turned around and it was Michael Jackson from the Thriller music video. And I screamed myself hoarse, woke myself up, and never had that nightmare again.
You were haunted by Michael Jackson in your dreams.
And apparently I was not the only kid who was haunted by that man.
Oh, wow. Oh, Michelle.
Yeah. I know.
So...
As an adult, I'm like, did I know something the others did not? Was that trying to tell me something? Because that's fucked up. As a kid, Michael Jackson terrified me as a kid.
Maybe you just knew something, Michelle. Maybe you just knew.
That's what I'm saying. Also, okay, oddly enough, a year before the allegations about Bill Cosby came out, I had a nightmare that Bill Cosby did some bad stuff to me. And that is bizarre. It was one of the scariest nightmares I've had in my life. We're not going to get into the details. It's fucked up. It's very, very horrifying. And then the allegations came out and I was like, what the hell?
Michelle, are you suggesting that perhaps you have dreamscape premonitions about who is going to be discovered to be creepy predator celebrities?
Well, two parts to that answer. Part one, not entirely, because the Pound Puppies have never had allegations against them. So that's good. The Pound Puppies are safe. But the second thing, no, I think that it's a simulation and that my nightmares confirm that. I'm convinced. It's currently the fall, and that's my highest anxiety time. I started recording tonight in a full-blown panic attack, but luckily, talking makes that better. But I've definitely not been okay. Yeah, I did take a Xanax, and that definitely helped, and it's cutting through. But it's the time of year where I'm convinced all of this is a simulation and nothing I do matters, which is very scary when you're a person like me, because there will be no consequences. Like, the worst thing that happens is I wake up in the pod that I'm currently sleeping in. So when I have those kinds of nightmares and then shit actually happens from them, I go, further proof, this is a computer program that glitched. Deja vu, one of my scariest, like, one of the things I'm scared of more than anything else is deja vu. Thank you, Matrix movie. Have I?
Michelle
we got to the therapy
time.
portion. We got to the therapy portion. The Halloween tree upset me more than I thought it would today.
Yeah.
Because I just I had those memories come pouring back of how scary this movie was.
Here's what I'm realizing is this movie had a similar impact on you to what Mr. Boogedy had on me. It was this first thing where, as a very young child, I was like no children die in it, but it was this creepy, creature man who was fucking with kids, right? Like he was coming after little kids, and it was just heavy, creepy fucking shit. Really fucked me up. If you've never seen Mr. Boogedy, Michelle, you should definitely check it out on Disney Plus if you have a chance.
I did look at a picture after you brought him up a couple episodes again. You know who else was fucking terrifying?
Who?
Professor Coldheart from the Care Bears movie.
Yeah.
Terrifying. His head
looks an awful lot like Carapace Clavicle Mountroud, doesn't he?
He does. Apparently, I just don't like old animated guys.
Yeah, could be.
They're menacing. Man.
Well, there was another thing I was gonna. Nope, it's gone. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Something I was gonna ask and then I didn't ask. So it's fine. I don't really have much else to say about the Halloween tree. Michelle, were you able to get all your yuckies out?
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch this movie again.
Yeah, probably not.
Which is so funny. I love horror movies. Modern horror movies, it's very rare. I think the last time I was truly terrified during a movie was Dark Skies, like 10 plus years ago. Like that was the last time I was terrified during a movie because, man, fuck aliens. But this movie did, like, watching it today, I think it's just because it put me back in that vulnerable kid head space and, like, I flashed back and had like the very, very, like, I know exactly where I was when I watched this and learned that kids were not safe from death. So,
yeah, man, nostalgia can be a motherfucker sometimes.
Yeah. As an adult, it's not a great movie, but as a kid, scariest thing I saw. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, no fucking problem. But the Care Bears movie and the Halloween tree,
That's fantastic. I love it.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on this journey with me and reliving childhood trauma. Oh, God. And the Michael Jackson
we do a decent amount of that on this show.
We do. I think I'm going to go rewatch The Care Bears and The Land Without Feeling and just see if Professor Coldheart is as terrifying as I remember.
Even just that name, The Land Without Feeling.
Yeah, and they look terrifying. Jesus. The children that they become, they morph into like these black beings who are just like very depressed. Yeah, I might rewatch that tonight.
Yeah, there was a period there in the late 70s and early to mid 80s, even I guess sometimes even up into the early 90s where there was some real dark shit that got hidden in animation or just sort of flew under the radar because it was in animation.
Yeah.
It was like, that's that Disney stuff, right? Yeah, sure it is.
Well, we won't get into it too much, but there was also a show that I watched about Pinky and Blinky. They were koalas with superpowers, and it was my favorite show by far, and I watched all of it. That's a sad show. As an adult, realizing that they were her imaginary friends who were real and they were going to leave her someday, and they do. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
It's really, really sad. And nothing makes me feel the way that shows as a kid did. All that magic is gone. I'm just aging and nothing impresses me anymore. And eventually I'm just going to wind up a pumpkin on a Halloween tree. And Leonard Nimoy is going to take me away.
What the fuck?
I know, the fall sucks. The fall is my bad mental health time. Thank God we have the podcast, right? So I can tell other people about it.
I love this. Michelle's like, the fall is my bad mental health time. As if I didn't just 10 days ago have a complete static meltdown, walk out on my job, and I'm in the process of a mental health disability claim. I'm not having a good time either, Michelle.
We can both have bad mental health times.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, like, it's real bad for me now.
It's bad. Oh,
it's real bad. It's real bad.
We got to make sure. Yeah. We got to make sure we get all of these recorded before October next year. Holy shit. Yeah,
it's a real bad time over here. But at least it's a spooky season, and so existential dread is what I'm supposed to be feeling at all times. Listeners, I hope this has been fun for you.
Yeah, if it's your first time tuning in, it's like this all the time.
It is. You know We're not going to apologize. It's always like this.
No, you know what I'm excited about, though, Michelle? And also, I know for a fact Jenna, who never watches the movie Jenna, is excited about.
Idle Hands?
Yes, tomorrow. Idle Hands.
Finally,
The
I've been waiting months
late-
because I knew we were doing it for Spooktober and I've never seen it. And the amount of people who have asked me this month when I'm going to watch Idle Hands is ridiculous. So I'm very excited for that.
It
love
has-
Seth Green. I love him.
It's not just Seth Green, but also Devon Sawa.
I know, but like Seth Green is an adorable little cutie.
Yeah, but didn't you just go off on Devon Sawa like 2 episodes ago or something?
I also love Devon Sawa. I know.
Okay.
I've seen Devon Sawa recently in Casper, and he was an itty bitty baby, and now I'm not
That
currently
was the
feeling
one
Devon
that we
Sawa.
were talking about, Devon Sawa.
But
Yeah,
I have not
Casper.
seen Seth Green as a too young person yet.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's tomorrow, guys. Idle Hands. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Oh, good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shutter is a production of Rat Factory Media.